I've been thinking about Tom Nichols writes about a death of expertise. We have a death of expertise. You mentioned the pandemic. We would have been so much better off in the beginning if people just said, look, we don't know. We really don't know yet. That's literally all they had to say. We're doing our best. We don't know.
They did, but the problem is two things happened. One, lots of us said, we don't know, let's figure out what we can. And the natural process whereby a model of the virus, a model of the epidemic, a model of people's behavior began to emerge. That thing was actually doing beautifully. But handed down from on high was then a set of prescriptions where we were told what the virus was, where it came from, how it behaved, what we needed to do, and all of it was wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
So, you know, I'm always amazed when people ask me about this. Like, what do you think about it? I mean, how the fuck do I know? I have not only do I have nothing substantive to add, I haven't had high school, no offense, but I haven't had a high school biology class since I was in high school. And high school was my last interaction with biology. So like, nobody should listen to me.
No, wrong.
Really? Why? Tell me why anybody should listen to me.
Well, it's not that they should listen to you as an authority on the biology, but let's just say we were all told that the COVID vaccines were highly effective and that what was necessary in order to control the disease was our compliance, right?
Correct. I wouldn't use the word compliance, but that we all should
accept it. We should all accept it. And I would say given a high quality vaccine that was safe enough that, we should all do our part and get it. But anybody.
And I got it right away. I got it for a multitude of reasons. I told you I have Crohn's disease. It's an autoimmune disease. So I got it right away and boosted, et cetera.
Right. Well, maybe we'll come back to what happened to you.
Okay.
But nonetheless, my point would be, if you were assured this vaccine is very effective at preventing people from contracting and transmitting COVID, and then you find out 2 months later, well, it's not very effective at preventing people from contracting or transmitting COVID, and then it turns out it's not effective at all, and it turns out places where essentially everyone took it haven't controlled the virus, and now we have a wave of the virus that is running rampant through the vaccinated population, then the answer is, well, I don't know anything about how, I'm now not speaking for me, I'm speaking for a layperson, but I don't know anything about how viruses function or how vaccines create immunity, but I can tell that what I was told didn't turn out to be right. And I can tell that the people who I was told were distributing misinformation turned out to be much more predictive, right? That is something anybody can see.
Yeah, so I guess in that situation, and I'm even hesitant to have these conversations because I know so little about, I don't want to even say the biology, the medical aspect, the epidemiological aspect of it. I think we can say that if we were told something and it turned out to be false, that's a reason for suspicion. It's probably a reason for suspicion. It doesn't mean that the things that the people who told us and were wrong are wrong about everything. It does mean that people, particularly this is my inference from that, people in a public setting should be more humble about what they claim to know, particularly when it comes to public health.
Sure, but I would say what we have is a very powerful public health apparatus that told us many things. Essentially, all of them turned out to be false. You had a heterodox...
That I can't speak to.
You can't, but if you looked at it, you could, you're as capable as anyone of going back to the history and looking at who said what when, and then seeing what happened, right? And if it is true that the heterodox community of doctors and scientists who were discussing this were much more predictive than the public health authorities, and that in fact the public health authorities partnered with the social media platforms and demonized the heterodox scientists and doctors, and in fact ruthlessly stigmatized them, which goes on to this day, then that would tell you something. It's odd that the people who had less predictive power were in a position to destroy the careers of people who were more predictive.
So you'd have to, so what you'd have to do, correct, what you'd have to do is you'd have to break down those claims and see which was true and which was false.
Absolutely.
Just an empirical question.
Right. Well, here's the problem. Nobody's doing that, but somebody should, right? What this really requires is a top-notch, old-school journalist to go back and say, well, we're now years in. Let's figure out who was right, and let's figure out what happened to them, right? I hope that happens.
That would seem to me to be most reasonable.
Not only most reasonable, but incredibly pressing.
Yeah, Neil Ferguson writes about that in Doom, this idea that you how do we prevent the next pandemic? You know, what do we do? What kind of things should we be thinking about? What kind of infrastructure should we have?
Yeah. So anyway, let's put it this way. We are not brand new to the question of, how to figure out what's true, right?
Correct.
There are thousands of years of track record on sorting out claims and figuring out what's accurate.